Well, the death of Prince is still under investigation. Evidence is mounting, that the opiate pain medication may have played a role in his death. And experts say his death does shine a painful spotlight on the growing epidemic of opiate addiction here in the United States. It's been growing across the country. David Samadi, Dr. Samadi, I mean, it's been a crisis. Community after community after community in dealing with this addiction, trying to overcome the pain. Vermont is one of the leading states in the nation trying to deal with it. They say that opiates are just overprescribed in this nation. What do we do about it, and can this be stopped?
Yeah, Eric, let me just say that the jury is still out on the real cause of death for Prince, but we're waiting to see exactly what the reason was. But most likely, it's probably from these opioids. And I will tell you that U.S. right now is going through a very big epidemic of opioid addiction. Over 2 million people are out there that are addicted to this. We're losing about 77 people a day, every day. Imagine like that many people are dying from this. Now, thinking about this segment, I came up with 4 reasons why we would have this. I think a lot of these opioid addiction, as the use of this chronic pain medication for non-cancer. A lot of times it started with giving it to the patient that had cancer and lethal, but now they're using it for arthritis, for a lot of back pains, etc. The second part of this is that, interestingly enough, 40% of these people that are addicted are between the age of 40 to 65, who are educated, who can afford to get this kind of medications one way or another. In this particular case, we have the celebrity factor, which is a big problem. And finally, and I want Mark to make a comment about this, I think doctors are also, to some extent, guilty about writing these prescriptions with many refills. These medications are addictive, Eric, as you know, and they can build tolerance, which is a big problem. And once you start mixing it with alcohol, other sedatives, you can really reduce the respiratory breathing, and they can die from this. So we need to break this cycle immediately.
But Dr. Siegel, I have a specific question. I know Dr. Samadi wants you to touch on what he talked about, but specifically to that point, do you think the idea that prescriptions have gone digital as well as medical records have gone digital, do you think that this will prevent the overprescribing of certain medications by doctors as well as the deadly patient access?
Arthel, that is an excellent question. I'll tell you this, it's helping out in New York State already. There's a program called iStop where physicians literally have to go on an extra website to determine whether their patient has had a previous narcotic like a Percocet or a Vicodin or a codeine, and then they have to list that they're doing. It takes time. I call it the by the way problem, where doctors enable people on their way out the door. By the way, doc, as you're going on to the next patient, can I have my Vicodin? Well, you're under pressure, then you have to pull them back in and say, well, what's this for? Because it's a vicious cycle, and Arthel, you need more and more and more of this stuff. And by the way, there's not only 14,000 deaths from prescription narcotic overdoses every year, there's 14,000 from heroin. So people stop getting those prescriptions, then they get it from a brown bag on the street, and that leads to even more overdoses. So the whole thing is a big epidemic, and doctors are part of the problem.
It's interesting what Mark is bringing up, because a few days ago was the day that you were supposed to get rid of all of your extra medications in your closet, and that's a big message. If you're not using them, first of all, don't share them with other people,
right,
and don't get addicted to this. Don't take them for a long time and get rid of them.
You flush them down the toilet? Is that the best way to get rid of them? Flush them?
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing is, if you're exposed to somebody who you may have suspicions of having this kind of opioid toxicity, and you're in the elevator and you see someone collapses, the first thing you do is you open their eyes. If they have a pinpoint pupil, if their pupils looks like a pinpoint, they're unconscious, they're not breathing, you absolutely call 911. And once they give them the antidote, which is a Narcan, they wake up and you can save someone's life. But that's the way to find out if there's an opioid abuse. That's a signature of this.
Okay, thank you. Sorry that we've got to move on. And confirming that we don't know the cause of Prince's death at this moment, and I'm very sad about what happened to Prince.
Absolutely, it was a loss.